welcome everybody to this Roots and Shoots celebration event. This is a very, very special year for Roots and Shoots. It's actually our 30th anniversary year. And I'm Tara Golshan, the Executive Director of Education. So I want to say a good morning to the UK and a good afternoon to the UAE, to all of our members, teachers, sponsors and partners. And it's wonderful to have you with us today. I'm going to begin with a few very special thank yous. The first one is to our UAE Goodwill Ambassador, Her Highness Sheikh Hamada bin Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, whose generous support has enabled us to continue our work for the coming years ahead. To our partners at New York University, Abu Dhabi, for hosting today's award and lifting all the technical pressures off us as a team. And to our UAE partners at the Emirates Literature Foundation. Also to our sister organisation, the Voices of Future Generations. So this is the first time in our history that we've had a sister organisation, and we really look forward to working with them to bring literacy to many, many more people through Voices of Future Generations and the Emirates Literature Foundation. And last but by no means least, our wonderful UK sponsors at Montessori. So we're very excited this year to be hosting a twinning celebration where both members in the UK and the UAE will be presenting their amazing projects. And these are really remarkable achievements despite the challenges of living through a global pandemic that we've all endured in the last year. So just to put today in context, we have over 1,400 UK groups that take part in Roots and Shoots, and we have over 130 UAE groups. And we can't feature all of them today. In a normal world, if we were having a physical event, this would run for about 18 hours. And we would have at least 24 schools over 2 days. So if you imagine that we've had to literally condense that into 90 minutes only. So this is really a snapshot of the work that we do. And it's very funny because about a year ago, I completely shied away from doing any kind of IT. And Jasmina will tell you every time she wanted me to do a video, I'd be running for the hills. But I always believe that the universe gives us the things that we try to avoid. So I like most of you, have spent a year on IT with a Zoom overload. But it has its advantages, and it's enabled us for the first time to do a twinning event with our UK and UAE members. So I just wanted to say one thing that means a lot to me that I've been thinking about this year, and it's about longevity. Because we work in such a fast-paced world now. Everything is instant, everything is immediate, and there's something about longevity that has great value. And I think for me personally, that's what Roots and Shoots represents. We have built long-term relationships with everybody who is on this call today, with our valued teachers, our students, our sponsors and partners. So a big thank you from me to you for traveled this journey with us and supported us along the way. And it was very interesting because my 16-year-old son the other day came into the office. I was writing a letter to someone. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm writing a letter." And he said, "You've got to be kidding me." So the whole, even that, in the generation that he's growing up in, things that we take time over and thought over, I feel are still, those values are still held within the Roots and Shoots programme. So you will be hearing from our sponsors and partners today, and of course from Dr. Jane. If you would like to submit a question for Jane, please type it in the chat box, and time permitting, she will try and answer as many as she can. And I'm just going to flag up the IT challenges, because as we know, IT is uncontrollable and unpredictable. If anything goes wrong, we've got a great team at NYU working on it, and we will just carry on. If there are any glitches, we will carry on, the show will go on. So let's begin. I'm now going to pass to Marriott Westerman, the Vice Chancellor of New York University, Abu Dhabi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tara Golshan of the Jane Goodall Institute. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And especially a very warm welcome to Dr. Jane Goodall, our guardian spirit of this Roots and Shoots program and of so much that is good about humanity in the world, and especially in humanity's relation to other living things. Welcome, especially to what are more than 150 attendees at this award ceremony, this annual award ceremony of the great Roots and Shoots program of the UAE, and today in very warm partnership with our UK friends. I want to say that last time we had this inspiring award ceremony, I want to note that it was February 6, 2020, here in Abu Dhabi. It was an extremely moving occasion, and with great projects as always, and a wonderful speech from Dr. Jane. And over lunch, I remember talking with her about the coming threat, the looming threat of the coronavirus. We still weren't so sure what it was all going to mean, but I remember something that Dr. Jane said to me that really resonated, which was, this is probably going to be very terrible, she said presciently, but maybe it will make us think a little harder about our relation to animals, which is so much her passionate work of the world, is for us to see what we share and what our with animals and what our responsibilities are to them. And I think that this aspect of this unsparing pandemic is coming to pass in the way that she foresaw. I am therefore extremely happy nonetheless that we are having this ceremony today, because it's been such a hard year for schools and students around the world. We know that. And so it's especially inspiring to see that projects came forward and the work continued. It's also wonderful to do this now, today, some 16 months on, because there is such bright light ahead, particularly in the UK and in the UAE now, in other countries, even though much remains to be done, in solidarity with other countries around the world that are struggling very mightily still, as the coronavirus threat has really not receded around the world. It's a very unequal situation. But it is wonderful that we are able to have this ceremony together today. For NY Abu Dhabi, it's been an utter privilege to have this partnership with Roots and Shoots since its launch in the UAE in 2015. And also, as you've already heard, this year marks the remarkable anniversary, the 30th of the Roots and Shoots program. It also is the 50-year anniversary of the UAE, which will mark in December. And in September, we will have our postponed celebrations of 10 years of NY Abu Dhabi. So yay to anniversaries. They are important moments to mark and remind us of what our missions are. Our students here at NY Abu Dhabi, our undergraduate students, have so valued all along being a part of the Roots and Shoots global network. And they love being ambassadors for this important program and for environmental stewardship and the care for animals across the UAE. Before I say one more thing about to the winners, I want to note a special moment here also for Dr. Jane Goodall, who this year was awarded the extremely prestigious Templeton Prize. I want to congratulate her most warmly on this recognition for her life's work. For those of you who don't know, the Templeton Prize celebrates individuals who harness the power of science to questions about the universe and humanity's purpose. And what we have seen, of course, this past year and a half is the extremely rapid deployment of science for the sake of getting us out of the pandemic through the development of new testing strategies, new remedies, and above all, the lightning fast work on vaccine development. And that was an international triumph of solidarity, of people with each other to help us get through this pandemic together. And so I would say, back to Dr. Jane's comments to me last year, if we can do this kind of thing for each other as humans, and try to get through this pandemic together in international solidarity and with resolve and using science for that purpose, we should be able to do much, much more for the environment of our planet. The particular Templeton Prize was awarded to Dr. Jane Goodall in recognition of her life's work on animal intelligence and humanity and what we share. I want to end by offering my warmest congratulations to all the award winners, but really warmest congratulations to all the schools, and especially all the students who have participated and contributed to this program over the years. Environmental stewardship and care for all living things starts at home and in your schools. And one person, as Dr. Jane has shown us for so many years, can make a huge difference. So you students, you are the future of the planet and of a habitable planet for all creatures. And the work that you do makes an important difference and inspires all of us every day. Welcome.
Thank you, Mariette, very much for that lovely introduction. And we're now going to move straight into our school presentations. So I would like to welcome Brendan Hayden from the East Coast College in the UK, who have done some amazing work this year and overcome some exceptional challenges. Welcome, Brendan.
We decided to join the Root and Shoots program because we want to learn more about the environment and help the earth, people and animals. We have enjoyed learning about different plants and growing them.
My name is Bradley. I'm from East Coast College.
My name is Alvaro, doing digging.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I like planting and watering plants.
Hello, my name is Breeze. I like coming to college to everyone.
Hello, I'm like Didden.
My name is Leanne Brown, and I like
The students recycled plastic bottles and cardboard to make bird feeders. Some work was done in college and some at home during lockdown. In our polytunnel area, work has started on a wellbeing garden. Brickwork students have dug trenches and are building wheelchair-friendly pathways. We are growing echinacea and have brought fruit trees and plants that attract bees and butterflies. We've built a bug hotel and we have a birdhouse. The fruit trees are good for the environment. Eventually, people will be able to relax and eat a piece of fruit. We have been growing such things as strawberry and tomato plants, violas, petunias and chilli plants. The students work on a stall to sell the plants to make extra money for the wellbeing garden.
Thank you very much, East Coast College, for that lovely video. And we now move on to Shrisha Gubakuma from the Abu Dhabi Indian School in the UAE.
Thank you. She is me, said she. We are her, think I. I'm not talking gibberish. I am just quoting Dr. Jane when I said she is me. The chimpanzee inspired Dr. Jane. We are her because she inspired us. A very good day to everyone present here. In the words of Dr. Jane, every individual matters. Every individual has a role to play. Every individual makes a difference. I, Srisha Gopakumar, on behalf of Prakriti, the Environment Club of Abu Dhabi Indian School, Al Murur, am pleased. I am pleased because we are the new shoot to the deep roots nurtured by Dr. Jane. I am pleased that collectively we will make a difference. Save the Hamur, Rethink Plastic, Save Water campaign are some of the many outreach programs that Abu Dhabi Indian School has worked to preserve biodiversity and climate change. These are also some of the projects that define Roots and Shoots. Thank you, ma'am, for inspiring us. Thank you, ma'am, for mentoring the youth. Thank you, ma'am, for empowering Generation Next. This award ceremony is an appreciation not of what we have done, but of what Roots and Shoots has done to bring about a change. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of the Roots and Shoots award ceremony. Thank you for letting us be a part of your journey. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Siddharth Pai.
I'm Nasrin Sadiq, representing the Roots and Shoots team of Abu Dhabi Indian School, Murur.
With 28 years of outstanding performance, the Environment Club, Prakriti, has been involved in a variety of initiatives towards sustainability.
In collaboration with Roots and Shoots, we have been organizing a variety of outreach programs like the Save the Hamur, Save Water campaign, and Rethink Plastic.
Hold That Drop, a premier initiative launched by the school, raises awareness regarding the need for water conservation.
May it be the Earth Day, World Water Day, or Ozone Day, we have made sure that there is active participation from every part of the campus.
Furthermore, the pandemic has not stunted our efforts to push our campaign and ideas forward.
The Earth is what we all have in common, rightly said by Wendell Berry, and we at ADIS stand for it too. But before we begin, we have our respected principal, sir, Mr. Neeraj Bhargava, with us.
Hi, Mother Earth lovers and nature's fan. It's really a great privilege to be associated with Root and Shoot program. We at Abu Dhabi Indian School Murur have been doing a lot of projects so that we can keep our mother clean and green. Thank you.
Let's start off this video with a brief look into our community outreach programs. Events were conducted at malls like Al Wada Mall to put out a message to save water. During the winter break, students also reached out to various restaurants to raise awareness, and an extension of this initiative was carried out in 2021. To cherish the national tree of the UAE, Gulf Tree Week was celebrated by the students with several activities such as the artificial Gulf garden and poems on the Gulf tree.
To further propel our message, Hold Hands, Hold That Drop, a human chain was formed by 8,000 members of the Addis family with the help of Abu Dhabi Police and Municipality at Cornish. We also celebrated Earth Day by growing more trees in local areas and understanding the role they play to reduce global warming.
We celebrated World Environment Day by raising awareness on how to protect and save our biodiversity. With the presence of veritable personalities, we hosted the International Water Summit, comprising of interesting panel discussions and presentations related to the water crisis.
On the occasion of International Ozone Day, we pledged to be ozone-friendly citizens and protect our Mother Earth. As a part of the Trashin Show, students were given the chance to showcase their creativity by reusing waste materials to make fashionable dresses.
Arab Environment Day was aimed at making students aware about the responsibility they hold as residents of the UAE, and this was achieved through plays and activities carried out by the students under the theme Marhaba, Arabia. We also attended the International Climate Conference with the aim of inviting dialogue on the climate crisis and ways to mitigate it.
Our students initiated activities on their own as well, such as conducting a research on the working of the drip irrigation system in UAE and by growing their own gardens in order to create environmental awareness. In the month of March, we announced the video making competition and the intra-school Save Water outreach program as a part of our World Water Day celebration, which culminated on the 22nd in a summit hosted by Lifeology on careers in water management.
We've received numerous distinctions for various activities as well, such as accolades from the Trust for Sustainable Living and for the Enviro Megadose competition. We handed out awards for the intra-school Save Water outreach program and the video making competition on the 1st of May.
At the end of it all, we have reached many milestones, but life is the greatest teacher. And this pandemic has taught us the importance of restoring our Mother Earth. Because for all the money in the world, we still cannot buy a breath of fresh air.
Thank you very much to the Abu Dhabi Indian School. And now I'd like to welcome Ori Fasiha from the Goatleys Primary School in the UK.
Since joining Roots and Shoots, the project has inspired us to work even harder to make our school, here at Goatleys in Ashford, Kent, even more environmentally friendly. Part of our school's ethos is that every day we must try to do our best for our planet in any way we can. Also, another reason to be part of Roots and Shoots, it is nice to be able to share on your website all the wonderful things we have achieved so far.
We're a small community primary school in the UK. We have approximately 210 pupils.
We may be a small school, but we are very proud of it, and we have won awards for its eco-friendly design.
Our school was built to be energy efficient.
It was designed to maximise natural light with solar panels and green roof technology, lowering our energy consumption, plus a low carbon ventilation system, all to lessen our carbon footprint.
It is important that we have an environmentally friendly school, not just for the people who work here,
but also for all animals, birds and insects that live here.
So we work just as hard to keep our surroundings nature friendly by looking after our school grounds and making sure we have inviting habitats for wildlife.
We know it is vital for the welfare of our planet that we learn about the impact it has on us and to understand that we can all make a difference to the world around us.
We constantly try to incorporate environmental issues into many of our lessons and have had some very interesting topics, giving us the opportunity to explore and discuss this important subject.
One of our goals here at Goatleys is to not only gain knowledge ourselves, but pass on the message to others. This term, each year group has been given a different topic to focus on.
Reception, we have done a biodiversity survey. We have been looking at how many different kind of animal homes that we've been looking at in our school.
In Year 1 and 2, we have been looking at bees and pollination.
We have learned how important pollination is. It helps the plants that feed us.
It provides homes for wildlife.
And it filters our planet's air.
We have built flower beds on our playground, so we can plant seeds and encourage bees.
In Year 3 and 4, we have been looking at the impact of rubbish on the environment and what we can do about it as individuals.
Our classes went on a litter pick in and around the school to see what kind of litter was being dropped.
We then made graphs to show the different types of rubbish like paper, plastic, glass or card and the amounts of each that was found.
In Year 5 and 6, we've been looking at the benefits of composting and the science behind it.
We have made mini compost bins that we have been studying and watching the waste break down inside with the creatures helping it.
We are now building compost bins from old pallets that has to be used by the school.
We have compost leaders who collect fruit and veg peelings, shredded paper and other green and brown waste to keep our bins well maintained.
To help save water, we have water monitors that collect unused water from pupils' water bottles, and we use that water to water plants. Every child in the school receives a water bottle free of charge that they can use at one of the water fountains we have in our school.
We all understand that everyone can do their part.
Big and small, it doesn't matter, every little helps.
We dug a natural pond at the back of our field to be able to study the fascinating creatures that live here and to be able to recall everything that changes over the seasons. Through resources like this, we have a better understanding of the world around us and how every living thing is important and how everything is linked to each other. We have also created a beautiful wild meadow which is not only a lovely calm place for us to relax in, but
it gives us the opportunity to enjoy the wildlife it attracts and allows us to appreciate all the living creatures that live alongside us.
We built bird hives from old pallets which were kindly donated by a parent.
Now we can enjoy the birds that we have encouraged to come to us by putting up bird boxes and bird feeders.
The more we know and understand about nature, the more it will help us value that every single living thing on this beautiful planet deserves to be here as much as we do.
We now have an outdoor improvement club. This has all started because we want to make our school a haven for wildlife as well as a lovely place for the pupils and staff. We have had a few parent volunteers which have been very helpful for the more manual jobs. Just like Dr. Jane, we know how important each and every living thing is.
We also have a gardening club.
We grow all different herbs and vegetables and we get to take them home at the end of the club.
Sometimes we have so much that our school kitchen uses the herbs and veg for our school lunchtime salad bar.
To add to our school's already diverse natural habitat, we apply for some native trees and shrubs from the Trees for Schools appeal.
We're lucky enough to be accepted, so we are planting a micro wood on the top of our school field.
By planting these trees, I hope we encourage more wildlife to come to our school.
Roots and Shoots helps us take more actions for the animals and the environment.
We hope our microwood will become a great new home for wildlife and marine insects.
We all need to look after our planet for our future generations, as our planet is and everything on it is amazing.
Thank you very much to Goatleys Primary School. That video does warm my heart because you can see how young some of our members are. So next up, we have Cranley Abu Dhabi from the UAE, and I'd like to welcome Paulina Daku. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paulina, and I attend Cranley Abu Dhabi. The school's been very honored to be a part of the Roots and Shoots powerful movement. For me personally, it's been really exciting to learn all about Dr. Goodall's story and how Roots and Shoots began. In February 2020, Dr. Goodall came to Cranley to educate us about her story and the research that she did in Tanzania. That was also the day that the Legacy Garden was officially opened. Our main initiative over the last 2 years has been the Legacy Garden, which was a project started by Rachel, a sixth form student, and Miss Williams, our Deputy Head of Wellbeing. It was officially opened with Dr. Goodall, and it was a very special moment for the school and all of the people involved in the project. The school came together as a community to make the garden a reality, and it is now used as an area where students and teachers can learn, take a break, and get outside to be amongst the environment. This is something that the school is really proud of, and it's only one initiative. Our journey is still growing day by day. So please now enjoy our video about our Roots and Shoots journey.
We are Cranley Abu Dhabi from the United Arab Emirates, and this is our journey.
It's important to look after our minds because it helps you think about your expressions and your emotions and your answers and helps you think. If we don't look after the environment, the animals will get hurt, and also the trees and other plants will not grow well, and the people will have to pick it up after them. It's important to look after others because you don't want them to feel not important or hurt, and you don't want them to feel lonely.
The heads, which represents physical and emotional well-being, have been on a mission to promote self-care across the community. The strength of this committee has grown in the past 2 years, and as committee members, we believe that change is needed now. Our mind matters, and we must protect and care for it. From community-focused days on kindness, mental health, and mindfulness, to a creation of inaugural podcast series for community members. Pupils writing policies to certify training in mental health and a people buddy system, the commitment from this committee is endless.
The heart, which represents environment, has driven forward a number of long and short-term initiatives over the last 2 years, exploring our surroundings as well as in our neighborhoods and beyond. From beach cleanups to protecting turtles to propagating a plant for every classroom. Recycling plastic to composting to representing our voices in a United Nations Global Goals project. We truly believe in making a difference, little by little, step by step, and that it matters today, tomorrow, and beyond.
The hands, which represent charity and outreach, have been committed to making a difference in people's lives over the past 2 years and beyond. We believe true well-being requires the need to help and support others. From shoebox appeals to kindness notes, community stalls for our support staff, and podcast creations, the committee's voice is getting louder by the day to ensure that our voice is being heard about the importance of making a difference.
The Charity Committee has come a long way this year through the kindness and generosity of our community. For me, continuing in this way will lead to a bright future for all.
So, let's own it, because
if not you, then who?
How do you own your impact on the planet?
I own it by appreciating the earth, being mindful, and living peacefully.
By creating a safe planet for everyone to live, including those less fortunate than us.
If we don't make a difference now, we won't have time to do it later. It's all about teamwork, community thinking, and sustainability.
What will your future planet look like?
A place where we are innovative, observant, and caring.
A place where we save, conserve, and preserve for us and all of the life forms.
The clear message from our 3 committees is that we are striving to achieve a dream of a future planet where there is a global head, heart, and hands.
And where everyone is mindful of themselves, others, and the environment around them.
What changes will you make?
Let's work together to make a better future.
Together we can, together we will.
Thank you very much to Cranley. And now I'd like to welcome C.L. Morgan from Ysgol Clywedog in the UK.
Helo, a croeso o'r tasglu amgylcheddol Ysgol Clywedog. Hello and welcome from Ysgol Clywedog's Environmental Task Force. We would like to thank Roots and Shoots for this amazing opportunity to engage with schools all over the world. The task force started in 2019, and we have participated in numerous projects to improve our local and global environment. Here is a video to show what we have done so far. Diolch. Thank you.
The School Eco Action Task Force started in 2019 when a group of pupils came to me and said that they wanted to do something about the environment. They'd heard about the destruction and the lack of biodiversity, and so we set up the Eco Action Task Force to do something about it. It started with the planting party, where we planted 250 trees on a boggy, disused, grassy field that we had at the back of the school. The intention was to boost biodiversity in the school grounds. Now, that's how it started, but from there it just spiraled.
I joined Eco Club because I've seen pictures on Facebook and it's dreadful how these people are treating this world. I joined Eco Club because I want to change this world in any way possible. I don't want to see my family grow up in this world like this.
Yes, I want to try to keep pollution down by removing the miles that it takes to get to food, by planting greenhouses for a competition.
Since joining Eco Task Force, I've become more confident in talking in front of other people. This is from going to mock-ups and filming videos for international competitions.
Because of joining the Eco Task Force, I've been allowed an opportunity to be on national television, as well as working with schools in Lebanon and Spain.
I joined the Eco Club because of all the opportunities that it brings, like the international competition that we won, and next year I'm going to Tanzania.
Thank you very much, Isgol. I have to admit, I had to pronounce your name right. I hope I pronounced it right because it's quite a tongue twister, but lovely to see those amazing projects. So we come to our last school of today. Last but by no means least is the GEMS United Indian School in the UAE, and I'm happy to welcome Candace Sara Siju.
Greetings to you all. It is my greatest honor to stand before you today, representing GEMS United Indian School at the most prestigious Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots Celebration Awards. Dr. Jane Goodall, the most celebrated primatologist, has always been a huge inspiration for GEMS United Indian School and all her eco activities. We have participated in tons of campaigns such as EEG's tree planting projects, recycling aluminum cans and used books, EEG's beach cleanup campaigns, green recovery acts, One campaigns, and so many more. I once again thank Dr. Jane Goodall and the Roots and Shoots team for granting us this fabulous opportunity. Allow me to end with a quote by the famous Dr. Jane Goodall herself. Only if we understand will we care. Only if we care will we help. And only if we help shall all be saved. Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Matthew, Principal of GEMS United Indian School. I'd like to thank Dr. Jane Goodall. Thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing Roots and Shoots to UAE. We and our school are very much indebted to you for making us partners in that great initiative. Here we have, I'm holding something with me here. We brought the whole of that initiative to the Middle East. And here we have the symbol of Middle East here with us. The love for this camel proves that our students are in love with the animals and environment around them. They are tomorrow's leaders of protecting the environment, loving the environment, respecting the environment. We have in GEMS United School a kind of a program called as Love for Environment and Animals. Pet animals, our children are very much inspired by your initiative to do this for Roots and Shoots. And our partnership with you is going to really get us quite a lot of great leaders of tomorrow who are going to be positively changing the human race and their love for the environment around them. And your partnering or your initiative of having your school partners is another very great initiative. We want to take part in that. We want to be active partners with it. We want to build leaders for you, Dr. Jane. Thank you so much.
Our school has appointed our very own sustainability ambassadors, organized a sustainable business pitch, advocated for combating climate change at Scope Expo, initiated a global campaign on single-use plastic, and participated in many such international programs.
I am Kavishi Patra, and I believe it is wrong to throw away books which educate us, which help us to grow. Hence, we, students of GEMS UIS, collaborated with EEG to collect waste paper from students and staff. Pulling up the amount to almost 15 tons, we qualified to plant cedar trees under the theme One Tree, One Community project in Al Menai, Ras Al Khaimah. And we feel extremely privileged to have gotten this opportunity.
So let's get started. First, take the chia seeds and place them under the glass. After that, repeat the steps. And now your chia fruit bowl is ready to eat.
We follow the doctrines of Roots and Shoots to stay connected to Mother Earth. During this pandemic, we encourage our students to practice making food which has low carbon footprint, microgreens a perfect immunity booster, home gardening, organic farming, and many more.
Microgreens are just baby plants. It's in here white pulses. You can use any type of pulses. Soak the ground for 8 hours. I spray for 1 week. Spray water for spray. I spray it. After 1 week, you will get like
promotes the importance of planting trees and keeping trees alive. This project is for planting 1 million tree saplings worldwide by 2025, and we are proud to be a part of this project. Campaign was held at GUIS campus, where the students contributed from their pocket money for social cause as a part of the welfare of the environment.
Green recovery is a solution for a sustainable and a resilient future. Be a change for a better future.
Thank you very much to GEMS United Indian School. I think the videos speak for themselves, so they need no more words from me. And now we move on to some special addresses from our partners and sponsors. So I have great pleasure in welcoming our partner in the UAE, Isabel Abulhul, the CEO and trustee of the Emirates Literature Foundation. Isabel founded the Emirates Airline Festival of Literature, the Arab world's largest celebration of the written and spoken word, in 2009. And she remains committed to spreading literacy and all the benefits that come from enjoying a good book. And working with them reminds me of something that Dr. Jane's mother used to say to her, that when the world gets you down, just go and read a book. And that's always stayed with me. So a very, very warm welcome to Isabel. Thank you.
First of all, a huge hello, and what an honor to be on the same screen, as it were, with Dr. Jane Goodall, who has inspired us all for many, many years and continues to fight the good fight. So a huge thank you to Jane Goodall. And Tara, it was lovely seeing your cat, but I am in awe of these amazing young people and what they are doing, every single one of them, to make our planet better. So it gives me such hope. And I must just say that when I was listening to Dr. Jane Goodall in 2020, when she was speaking to a packed audience pre-COVID, she told us about reading Tarzan and how she fell in love with the whole of the sort of animal kingdom, as it were, but felt that Tarzan had chosen the wrong Jane when he didn't choose her. So I've always remembered that and smile when I think about it. But I'm here today on behalf of the Emirates Literature Foundation, but even more so on behalf of Voices of Future Generations. And I'm so excited to be here with you all. Thank you so much, New York University, Abu Dhabi, for hosting this wonderful session. And thank you to the wonderful tech team and everyone else who's making this virtual celebration possible. It is awe-inspiring, so thank you. Voices of Future Generations is a unique writing competition that was launched in 2014 under the patronage of UNESCO. It asks children to write adventure stories that contain and feature sustainable development goals. With Her Highness Sheikh Hassa bint Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum as its Goodwill Ambassador, the initiative was brought to the Middle East in 2019. Now, with Sheikh Mesa bint Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Goodwill Ambassador for Roots and Shoots in the UAE, the two initiatives will work together, spearheaded by two sisters, to spread sustainability, awareness, and inspire action. And it was very heartening to hear Welsh being spoken from the Welsh school that was part of the wonderful students who presented today. And I'm sure in future years we will hear the wonderful Arabic language and students from Arabic-speaking schools and ministry schools sharing their love of Roots and Shoots and how it's changed their lives. The children that are here today with us celebrating have done so well with their projects. Imagine if every school across the nation got involved in projects to care for our planet. Imagine if every person across the planet was involved. One of my favorite fictional characters from one of Roald Dahl's books is Matilda. And she said, never do anything by halves if you can get away with it. Be outrageous go the whole hog. And that is exactly the kind of attitude we need now. We need outrageous ideas to save our planet, and we need to go the whole hog to make it happen. So the children who have been here today with us, I want to say congratulations on all your achievements and thank you. You are an inspiration to us all. Please keep it going. Keep thinking bigger. Keep imagining the solutions to the world's problems, because it is only after you imagine it that you can make it come true. We believe in you. We are listening. Together, we can create a better world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabel. I now have great pleasure in welcoming the CEO of Montessori, Leonor Stepchik, who I've worked with over a number of years, and I'm very pleased to say that they're kindly sponsoring our programme for the next 6 years. And our very special Roots and Shoots ambassador, Dame Tessie Anthony Donasso. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, everyone. I think I speak for all the panelists and certainly for myself when I say what an inspiring series of videos. It's fantastic to see, and what a privilege to be here along with the other guests and with, of course, our dear Dr. Jane Goodall. Maria Montessori said that when children come into contact with nature, they reveal their strength. And I think the videos that we have seen today show that this is true. They show that by giving young people, giving children an opportunity to make a difference, we empower them, and they in return carry out actions that enrich their own communities. And that's why we're so proud to be partners at the Montessori Group. I've been asked to introduce a very dear friend and colleague, Tessie de Nassau. Tessie is a philanthropist. She is an activist for young people. She's a conservationist. She is an advocate for education. She is a role model for so many of us. And it gives me great pleasure to ask Tessie to say a few words.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Highness, Excellencies, supporters, activists, partners in the UAE and abroad and the UK, to the whole Montessori family, dear Leonor, Vice Chancellor Westerman of the New York University, and of course, nice to see you again, dearest Dame Dr. Jane Goodall. It has been a while since I last saw you in London. You keep inspiring me, and despite the pandemic, keep just pushing forward. Corona did not help to bridge the gap of distance and time, even if it gives us today the opportunity to connect with everyone from all around the world, as we said before, on a screen, making it available to an even wider audience. How fantastic is that, right? Welcome to today's award ceremony, championing young leaders and guardian of our environment. Let me start briefly with expressing my admiration to my dear friend and superwoman, Dame Dr. Jane Goodall, who is the reason why we are all here today, the disruptor, the change maker, a woman with a heart of gold and love towards our environment, the environment and the animals in our world in a way which is legendary known around the whole world. A woman who does not take no for an answer, a woman who goes the extra mile to protect animals and also help build this platform here to educate youngsters from all around the world to step into her footsteps and realize their own legacies. As Dame Dr. Jane Goodall said to me in London when I said to her, how do you do it? She said, I just do it. She said, I live in a plane. She was just traveling all the time. She's not tired. She just goes for it. And that is something I inspire to greatly. So thank you so much, Dame Dr. Jane Goodall, for bringing us all here together today. I was asked today to speak on behalf of Montessori, one of your sponsors of the proud Roots and Shoots award ceremony and sponsor for the next 6 years, and as proud ambassador of the Roots and Shoots campaign. I worked with Montessori for a long time and remember well when the conversation of a possible collaboration between Montessori and Roots and Shoots started a long time ago. We were all so excited about this opportunity, and seeing now the final project idea come to life makes me extremely proud and honored to take part of this. As a mother of 3 teenagers and a soon-to-be new mom, education and everything that comes with it is something very, very close to my heart. Montessori education has been a crucial part of my children's educational journey. My sons, especially highly dyslexic, have loved their time with Montessori. Montessori is an educational system which favors the uniqueness of each child and his or her abilities and personal skills. It builds on each child's self-development and creates a safe space of learning for each, instead of categorizing a child on his or her age and put on a common framework around the age, which is forced on everyone. My son Gabriel especially discovered his love towards the environment, as well as he was able to build his own garden at school, which was an extremely amazing coping mechanism for him to deal with his dyslexia, something he still has and cares for today. Let us talk a bit about the educational system very briefly. I personally am not a big supporter anymore of the factory educational style of learning, as I myself have experienced it as a child. I'm sure a lot of you on this call, in my age and older, know exactly what I'm talking about. I have seen firsthand children falling through the grid and feeling left behind due to the inability to find their own niche in a system which is not built to be flexible and accommodating for all kinds of skills. Also, the environmental education and climate change were not topics at all we discussed much in school at that time. Luckily, our educational system is slowly recognizing the needs for customized educational experience, and the Montessori system is definitely fit for purpose, if you ask me. Hence, Montessori being a sponsor of today's awards and the sponsor for the next 6 years, a forward-thinking educational platform, and Roots and Shoots organization, which has a main slogan on their website, which I love: you have the power to build a better world. It's a perfect collaboration between individual learning, respectful teaching, inclusivity, and innovation, needing to accommodate a fast-moving and disruptive society of today, which includes all aspects of life, including the environment, animal conservation, and climate change. The corona pandemic has only highlighted more on how collaborations like this is vital to build new frameworks for the children of today and tomorrow. What I absolutely love about the Roots and Shoots campaign is how it empowers the youth from within by helping them to find self-confidence in themselves and find their own space where they can be their own self and have their own personal skills in order to make a difference as a group. The presentations we have all seen just show and validate this point. I myself teach my children daily about the importance of making a viable contribution to their tribe, their community, whatever it is, right? And that no effort remains unseen. It is that change of attitude which makes the whole difference. We're all living in an extreme materialistic world where money and status are being advocated as a benchmark to assess success and failure. Social media avatars and fake profiles and news are a real threat to our youngsters and their mental well-being, as well as the care for our environment. The biggest learning is then that despite change, which we have seen today, which is constant, right? Change is ever constant. The real essence of life is who you really are and what your impact will be, as we see from all of these young leaders on these videos. The person you want to be. A lesson I wish for every child to learn as early as possible, because that is the one and only thing which really gives you purpose and happiness from within. Through that, the fundamental base you build as a child with these skills such as kindness, gratitude, supporting the environment, the animal kingdom, non-judgmental behavior, love, and well-developed listening skills, and building long-term relationships, as Tara mentioned in her opening speech, are exactly the skills needed in our societies today. Roots and Shoots and Montessori Education are 2 organizations that address exactly this need. Let us not reinforce the building of castles in the sand any longer and build solid fundamental bases of homes from within us all, and share this gift with our youngsters and the future generations of professionals to come, with awards such as the ones today. The environmental crisis and the decline in animal population has shown us that the time is now to act. We are the new shoots to the roots, as said strongly and clearly by the Abu Dhabi Indian School. It makes me especially happy to see that today's dialogue is being held in Abu Dhabi as well, a country close to my heart. I have had the great opportunity to work with Montessori in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and have seen the effort of the Dubai Ministry of Education and other ministries to make a real impact and support their growing communities, their children, as well as foster opportunities for new talent and jobs. Also, a happy birthday to the region for their 50th anniversary this year, December. As a global patron of the UNESCO Kindness Medal campaign, it gives me great pleasure to congratulate Roots and Shoots on their 30th anniversary as well, and it makes me proud that Montessori UK is a sponsor to such an inspiring campaign. This gives me hope, which is the essential seed needed for change in all domains. I'm looking forward to see this partnership expand and grow over the next 6 years. Montessori, as well as Roots and Shoots, are game changers in the educational space for people of all age. And I'm sure that it is only the beginning of many, many new grassroots movements branching out of this core of excellence. Thank you for giving me the space and time to share my personal thoughts. If you have more questions on Montessori or what I think of Roots and Shoots, which it's just fabulous, please do get in touch over Instagram, especially the youngsters here. It's Tessie_from_Luxembourg. I would love to hear from you and your experience with Roots and Shoots as well, more than just your videos, because they have been fabulous. Congratulations to all the winners in schools. I really enjoyed your inspiring and innovative presentations. As a mother, educator, and activist, they made me smile, I must say, impressed me deeply, and made me hopeful for the future. As we mentioned many times in each presentation, we all can contribute to the change, even the smallest children. If not you, then who, as mentioned by the Grandly Abu Dhabi? To finish, I leave you with some final words of my son, Prince Noah. You are never too young to start to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Leonor and Tessie. And now the part I know that you have all been waiting for. Whenever I have to introduce Dr. Jane, I have to tell a little story. I can't help it because there's so many stories to tell around Jane. But my favourite one was probably when we were on an aeroplane coming back from an event. She was sitting on the aisle opposite me, and there was a lady just next to her by the window. And the lady was just staring at Jane. And then she finally plucked up some nerve and she looked across at her and she said, "Can I just say that you remind me of one of my greatest heroines. You look just like her." So Jane was playing along and she said, "Really? Who's that?" And she said, "Dr. Jane Goodall. You just look like Dr. Jane Goodall." Anyway, this dear lady then spent the next 20 minutes telling Jane all the things she loved about her heroine, Dr. Jane Goodall. And then finally, at the end of this, Jane said, "Actually, I am Jane Goodall." And this lady burst into tears and she couldn't stop crying for quite a long time. So I will say no more than that, because that highlights Jane's effect on the world. Please welcome Dr. Jane Goodall.
Well, thank you, Tara, and hello to everybody. It's good morning, good afternoon, good day, whatever time it happens to be. And first of all, let me give you a distance greeting to bring the voice of the animal kingdom into this gathering, which is that's the "Hello, I'm Jane" in chimpanzee language. And it's because of the chimpanzees, really, where it all started, that we have this gathering today. So I want to thank everybody who's made this possible. They've all been thanked, and I won't go through all the names again because we don't have that much time left. But I will also introduce Mr. H. Some of you know Mr. H. When I was traveling around the world, he always came with me, and he still manages to meet people, but it's virtually. And the two people who have not been thanked, who've done so much hard work to make this happen, are Tara herself and Jasmina. And so it's this team of people who've all been thanked, our sponsors, our partners, and all of you who've taken part in it, and the teachers and your parents. It's working together like this that we really can make a difference. And I think your projects were fabulous. And for some students, I know working through the pandemic was really hard. A lot of you were unable to be with your friends to do things together. And it's always harder when you're in isolation to get really, inspired and enthusiastic. And when I was grounded, as I call it, by the pandemic, I was actually on my way to Brussels to give a talk in the United Nations building. And I was in the car and somebody ran out of the house and said, Jane, come back. They've closed the United Nations building. The pandemic is going to close everything down. So I was grounded right here where I am now. And I'm in the house I grew up in Bournemouth on the south coast of England. And I can look out of the window and see the tree up which I spent so long as a child. I was born loving animals. I had a wonderful mother who's somewhere, where is she? Yes, she's up there behind me. And she supported my love of animals. And when I was growing up, which will really amaze some of you, I mean, here we are with this incredible technology, talking to each other. We can be from around the world. And when I was growing up, there wasn't even television. We had the radio, we called it the wireless. And I think when I was growing up, there was just one program on it in the UK. And so for me, it was books. That's why I love it that the Literary Foundation is sponsoring this, because books for me were so important. And yes, up here behind me, the Tarzan books and Dr. Dolittle. And then I had this amazing mother and my very great teacher, and that was my dog, Rusty, who taught me that animals have personalities, minds, and feelings. And then, as you all know, I decided I wanted to go to Africa and live with wild animals and write books about them. Everybody laughed at me. How will you do that without money? And without, Africa's far away, and you're just a girl. Girls didn't do that sort of thing back then. But my mother said, if you really want to do something like this, you're going to have to work awfully hard and take advantage of every opportunity. And then if you don't give up, maybe you find a way. That's the message I've taken to young people all around the world, especially in disadvantaged communities. And I wish Mum was alive to know how many have come up to me and said, or written to me and said, Jane, thank you, because you taught me that because you did it, I can do it too. So yes, I got to Africa and I was amazingly offered the opportunity of living with not just any animal, but the one most like us. And because the chimps are so like us biologically and behaviorally, it gradually, I was able to change the way scientists were thinking back then, because I was told I couldn't talk about chimpanzees having personalities or minds or emotions because those were unique to us. And I shouldn't have empathy with them, because if you're a scientist, you have to be objective and you can't have empathy with your subject, which is absolute rubbish. And it's the reason why so much cruelty has evolved towards animals, because people were thinking they didn't have personalities, minds, or emotions. And any of you who have an animal, and I love it, Tara, that your dear little cat's been curled up there all the time, part of this gathering. And you all know that, of course, animals have personalities. Of course, they have minds. Of course, they have emotions. So I grew up loving them, finally got to Africa, had the chance to be with these beings who are so like us. We share 98.6% of our DNA with them. And as I say, science has gradually come to admit that animals have personalities, minds, and emotions. Well, when this pandemic grounded me here, I was at first frustrated and angry. And then I thought, well, that's not much use. So with a little team from the Jane Goodall Institute, we created this virtual Jane. And from where I'm sitting now, which is actually up in the attic, where it's also my bedroom, it's a very tiny little room, and I can hardly get into bed sometimes because of the wires and lights and microphones, and we've made it into a studio. And the advantage is that I've been able to reach literally millions more people in many more countries than if I'd been traveling. It's not the same as meeting in person, but it's an awful lot better than sulking around because you can't meet people in person. And just during the pandemic, we've started institutes and roots institutes in India. Of course, now India is having a terrible time. And any of you who like to help, Tara's been working on providing help for some of these students. Many have lost their mothers, and Nepal is the same. And Brazil has had a dreadful time. And America has lost thousands and thousands of people, and the UK as well. But the one thing about this pandemic, which we all need to realize, it isn't something that just happened. It happened because of us. It happened because of our absolute disrespect of the environment and of animals. So what about that? Well, we invade the animals' homes, we cut down the trees or wherever they happen to live. Animals are forced into closer contact with us. Makes it easier for a bacteria or a virus, and this is a virus, to jump from an animal to a person. We catch them, traffic them live around the world, sell them in wildlife markets in Asia, bushmeat markets in Africa, and various markets around the world. We sell them for food, for clothing, for medicine, and for exotic pets. And as these animals are traveling around the world, they're taking their viruses with them, which don't hurt them. But if they have the opportunity to jump from an animal to a person, it may bond with a cell in our body and start a new disease like COVID-19. And it's not just wildlife. Think of our factory farms, animals crowded in terrible, unhygienic, horribly cruel condition. Another opportunity for a new disease to start, many have. And just remember that every one of these animals, whether wild or domestic, they all have individual lives. They all have personalities. They can all feel pain and fear. And that makes it very different when you think how we treat animals. So somebody earlier on talked about the amazing brain that we've been gifted with. We have an extraordinary intellect. And it did show we got together around the world and created vaccines, which one day hopefully will make life more normal. It has in some countries. But think of the thousands of animals that were used to create these vaccines, to test these vaccines, and many other ways that they're used in laboratories. And they're not treated well, usually. So we've got a long way to go. And this is why I'm so excited with Roots and Shoots. If we see the problems in the world, the climate change and the loss of animal species, we're supposedly in the midst of the 6th great extinction. I've seen animals vanish from around where I was growing up here as a child. I know about the devastation of the forests in Africa. I know about the awful pollution and overfishing in the ocean. And we depend on forests and oceans for our air and to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So as we look around at the harm that we've done, people say to me, but Jane, you can't really have hope. You've seen so much devastation and suffering. And I have. I've been to countries and seen the result of the hurricanes and the flooding and the droughts and the fires caused by climate change. I've seen people dispersed from their houses by climate change. People living in low-lying areas because of sea level rise, they've lost their homes. Bangladesh is a terrifying example of that. But at the same time, I do have hope. And people say, how do you have hope? Well, what we've seen this morning is my main reason for hope. Look at all that you've done. And remember, you're here at this award ceremony and you got prizes, but it's happening in 67 countries around the world. Just think of it. Just imagine all the thousands and thousands of schools who've been doing projects just like you. Just think of all the people who've grown up through Roots and Shoots, and they're out and they're in government, they're in law, they're in all kinds of aspects of life, and their parents and their teachers. And they keep the values of Roots and Shoots. So what are the values of Roots and Shoots? Yes, living in harmony with nature, living in harmony with each other, understanding that much more important than the color of the skin or the culture or the language or the religion is the fact that we're all human beings. You've seen that today. People of different cultures, young people of different cultures working together to make this world a better place. And that's why I hope this pandemic is really a wake-up call, helping us to understand we've got to stop this destruction of the natural world. And you young people, don't let anybody tell you it's your responsibility. It's not your responsibility, it's our responsibility. And our responsibility is to work with you, to help you to make this a better world for people, for animals, and for the environment, because we're all interconnected. So, you know, as I say, my greatest reason for hope is all of you young people, what you're doing, what you're planning to do, what you've done. It's not that you can change the world, you are changing the world every single day. Think about it. And of course, another reason for hope, we're finally beginning to use our astounding intellect to do things better, to create more solar and wind power, to get off the use of fossil fuels, and so much more. And then the resilience of nature. I mean, places we've absolutely destroyed can be given another chance. Nature needs a bit of time and sometimes help. Planting trees can keep the spread of the desert back. And the number of animal species that have been saved from total extinction and the rewilding that's happening, breeding animals in captivity with a goal of putting them back in the wild once we've saved the environment. They can't go back in the wild until they've got an environment to go to. And a terrific example is this beautiful scimitar-horned oryx, which was rescued in Abu Dhabi and I think some other UAE countries, bred in some European and American zoos. Herds were put together very carefully, and they've been taken back to Chad, a dry place in Africa. And not only are they living there, but they've had babies. And it's just so beautiful. In the UK, we're rewilding. People are letting the vergers along the roads have wildflowers for butterflies and birds to have highways to move, to have this connection that they need with each other. We're bringing beavers back to regulate the landscape so that there'll be less flooding in some areas. So this is all the hope that I have. But once again, finally, the most hope is all of you, because you are changing the world. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody for the hard work that's led to this day. And thank you for the hard work that's going to go on into the future so that we can save this beautiful planet before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jane. And I believe now that we are going to move into some questions for you, which Aliasia is going to kindly monitor. So I will pass over to her now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jane, so much for your beautiful words. And thank you to all our partners and our sponsors for being here, and to all the amazing students and those videos. I know we're all just as inspired from that. And so I'm so honored to be here today. It's such a pleasure to get to ask Dr. Jane these questions. I actually graduated from a high school that's a Roots and Shoots member. So not only is this a very full circle moment for me, but it's also something I know that I got to see the value of firsthand. So let's jump in. Our first question is from Yagmur. Excuse me if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. He or she asked, what lessons do you think we should learn from the pandemic in terms of the environment and our relationship to it?
Well, I sort of answered that, haven't I? I mean, I've said, that it's our destruction of the environment and our disrespect of animals that's led to the pandemic. So it needs a new, different kind of relationship with animals and the environment. And sometimes some of the business leaders and political leaders, they just can't wait to get back to business as usual. And if we all get back to business as usual, that's the end. It's the end of us on this planet. So it's the youth that's going to really be the ones to move forward into working out this new relationship so that we're kinder, more respectful, and stop torturing animals.
Thank you for that. Our second question came from several attendees, variation on this. They wanted to know, first, what motivated you to study chimpanzees, and if you considered studying other animals, and how did studying them make you observe humans differently?
Well, first of all, I would have studied any animal. It was Louis Leakey who offered me the chimpanzees. Nobody knew anything about them. It was completely uncharted territory. There were no methods for me to follow. I was right out in the forefront of scientists going out and trying to study animals. I hadn't even been to college. So I just used everything I learned here, how to get the animals used to me. I would have studied any animal he'd suggested because I just wanted to be out in the field, in the wild. Because when I'm out in the wild, especially in a forest, I feel this really strong connection with the spiritual world, with the world that is beyond us. And it's this magical interconnection of all species. And so I was really lucky that it was chimpanzees, but I would have studied any animal. And humans, well, I watched them perhaps more in more detail than I might have before. I was spending so much time in airports, and it's a wonderful place to watch people. It really is.
I haven't been to an airport now, and I don't know how many months. So it's funny you said that. We were talking about how seeing people reunite at airports and the different characters you see, it's a special place. So thank you for that. Our third question from Alina, she's asking, I know Dr. Jane is a vegetarian. How important is reducing our meat consumption in terms of helping the planet?
Well, that's a good question, and it's unbelievably important. In fact, if there's one thing people can do to help the planet, it's to move towards a plant-based diet. And the reason is, of course, a lot of our meat eating involves very cruel behavior to animals. And I've mentioned that already because they all feel fear and pain. The reason I became a vegetarian was because when I learned about factory farming, I looked at a piece of meat on my plate and I thought, this symbolizes fear, pain, death. No, I've now become a vegan since I've been at home because my niece is a really good cook. This house I share with my sister and her family. And it's difficult to be vegan on the road, but you can certainly be vegetarian. So the reason being, these billions of animals in our factory farms around the world, they all have to be fed. That means clearing huge areas of environment to grow the grain to feed them and using lots of fossil fuel. And then you've got to get the grain to the animals to slaughter, and the meat to the table. It uses up a lot of water. We have one of the present presenters today talking about saving water. Changing vegetable into animal protein takes an enormous amount of water. And then finally, all these animals produce methane gas, which is in their digestion. I mean, we all do. But that's a very, very virulent greenhouse gas, along with CO2, carbon dioxide. They're the two main gases that blanket the globe and trap the heat of the sun and have led to global warming and climate change, changes in weather patterns.
Thank you for that. And I think hopefully we got to see from one of our schools their amazing food and the recipes they've been making at home during this time. So amazing to hear that. So I think we have time for maybe one more, just if we can close on this one. One of the attendees' first picture books was me and Jane. She wants to know, did you help write that book?
Well, I didn't actually, well, I read it through because there were some things that were a bit funny, but the man who wrote it, Patrick McConnell, he's a really, really good friend. He does a comic strip in America called Mutts. It's about a dog and a cat. And he began doing some dog-cat stories about me. And then I met him and he said, can I do a book about you? Me, Jane. And that's based on Tarzan meeting Jane, at least in the movie, when Tarzan says, meet Tarzan. And this I consider a very stupid woman he married, me, Jane, she says. But in this case, it's me that's Jane and not Tarzan's partner. And of course, when I was growing up, there were no films. Tarzan I fell in love with was in my imagination. In fact, my mother saved up to take me to one of those early movies of Tarzan. And after a bit, I burst into tears. Mum had to take me out. And she said, what's the matter? I said, but that wasn't Tarzan. That's why books are so important, because today so much is on television and children are losing the ability to imagine these characters for themselves.
Thank you for that beautiful answer and making me think of all the picture books that I grew up with and the characters who stayed with me. And thank you all the attendees for those excellent questions. Thank you for participating and engaging with us. I'll turn it back over to Tara.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Alicia. Now, just before we close, I'm going to ask Jasmina to announce the winners of our 30th anniversary videos. As Jane pointed out, we're a very tiny team in the UK, Jasmina and I think all of you who know me know that she's very much my little rock at work. So Jasmina, do you want to announce our 2 winning videos?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. As you probably remember, we celebrated our Roots and Shoots 30th anniversary back in February, and we received some absolutely amazing videos from the UK and the UAE. It was hard to decide which ones are gonna get our little tokens of appreciation and thanks, but we had to do it, so we did it. For the UK, we have chosen Wirral Home Educators, and for the UAE, we have chosen St. Joseph School. I will be in touch with the winners, but I still wanted to thank everyone else that wrote to us for our anniversary, that sent videos, that sent messages, that dedicated projects. We're so grateful for having you all. And thank you again for joining us today and for all of your hard work that continued during this pandemic. And hopefully today made you even more inspired to do more. I've just put in the chat box our YouTube channel as well, where you can see many more videos. And later on this week, the videos from today's event will be posted as well. So thank you again for being with us.
Thank you, Jasmina. Thank you, Dr. Jane. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our event. I've just been looking at the time and we're not bad. We're just 5 minutes out of time, so that's good. Yes, a huge thank you to everybody. Onwards and upwards. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And I very much hope that next time we meet, it will be physically in the same room. And thank you from Leah. You can see she's been so overwhelmed by everyone. She's just out on the chair now too. I think one little girl asked what her name was, and it's actually Leah, and she's 1 year old, and she insists on coming in. If I don't let her in, she hurls herself against the door, which is why she's joined us here today as well. Jane will tell you about her soon. All right. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you very soon.